I can sit back and complain, but as I stood in the inner city and observed the kind of social maelstrom that is going on in the inner city, I recognized that there needed to be a shifting, a changing, a philosophical change, one that moves us away from dependency upon government and standing up and becoming personally responsible for the changes that needed to take place within our community. I happen to be a Republican, but I am a Frederick Douglass Republican. A Frederick Douglass Republican reflects, I think, a thinking that helped to shape our nation and move our nation away from slavery. It was the abolitionists who stood up and identified an evil that was being perpetrated in our culture at the time, and Frederick Douglass was one of those champions that birthed into our nation's history the Republican Party. That Republican Party was responsible for ending slavery in America. The first black elected officials came out of the Republican Party, and they stood for principles that helped to define our relationship with this nation and started us on the path of first-class citizenship in this country. So I'm a Frederick Douglass Republican, and I'm not ashamed of that. I think there's a legacy and a history that we can look to and be proud of in connection with that. The Republican Party, no doubt about it, its message has been garbled, its message has been lost, and they have not been effective in communicating that message, especially to the African American community. After the 1960s, before the 1960s, we as African Americans were Republicans. Our families were Republican, our grandmothers and grandfathers, we were Republicans. We were the part of Republicans, or we were members of the party of Lincoln. But that changed in the 1960s, and it changed because there was a deliberate attempt on the part of the Democratic Party to change their identity from the party that was responsible for the Ku Klux Klan and for 100 years of lynching. And that's just the bottom line truth. You know, history, it was the Democrats who did that. But they made a change. They made a change, and in that change, we find ourselves at this point listening to their message. And there's a number of reasons why that's so, and I'll talk about that on a one-on-one basis with you. I'm just trying to frame for you the thinking, because I would imagine there's some of you who are Democrats in here and saying, why is he a Republican? I think that question needs to be answered. I'm a Republican out of the old tradition of Frederick Douglass and Lincoln. Those principles, I believe, are the principles that help right this ship, if you will.